everyone, and welcome to another episode of Three Crones in the Woo Woo. I am one of your hosts, Gayle Nicholson, metaphysical minister. I don't even know what I am anymore. I'm saying so much for the last 3 weeks. To my side, I have Damaris Samolinski with Ask the Genie. And below us, we have Krista Ducharme, intuitive healer with Dimensional Healing with Krista. How are you ladies this week?
We're doing great. Well, I'm good.
I'm awesome.
That's awesome. Oh, this is going to be a fun day today. It just is all the way around. We've got so much going on in the heavens and down below. It's like, you know, you take a nap and nothing's the same anymore.
Yeah.
So Gayle, stop taking naps.
Oh my gosh.
Part of the change is that I've been taking naps. Yeah. Anyways, so how's things over in New York this week, Damaris?
Well, the weather is wonderful, so that's a plus. It's not as sticky as it used to be, you know, a couple of weeks ago. So the weather's really nice. Just, you know, everyday stuff. Everything is fine. My daughter's got to get surgery, so we're going through that. But other than that, everything is good.
Well, we will definitely send her a lot of healing good juju.
Thank you.
The procedure she has to get done. That. I don't want to say it's a scary thing, but it's you know.
Yeah.
It's always kind of scary to go under the knife. You know, even if it is something that they do all the time and they know how to do it very well, and there's nothing to really worry about. You know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit nervous. You get nervous.
Yeah. How about you, Krista? How's the Netherlands and your screenless windows with no damn bugs?
Okay, yes.
Jealous
so
now.
let's bring everybody up to speed. Yes. So I have a screenless window. They don't typically have screens here in the Netherlands. However, I'm going to caveat that. Yes, and we don't really have too many bugs. We have built screens. Kevin and our neighbor Mike, this past spring, in the midst of COVID lockdowns, they made screens for some of the windows in our two homes. Just so happens where my sacred studio is up here on the third floor, I don't have a screen. But other than that, how are things going? Well, it's been busy. Kevin's on leave. In this leave period, rather than, at least right now, rather than running around and touring and doing different things, we're taking care of things that, like, so we need to replace some lights in the house we're renting. And so because the COVID numbers are rising again, our thing is it's like, well, the stores are open. We need to go and get some of this stuff taken care of. I don't care if we load the parts and pieces in the house and we just have them, but we need to just go and get some stuff done. So on that, I have to tell you guys, we found the coolest light that we're getting.
Oh, yeah.
For in our kitchen. It's a moon light.
Ooh.
Literally, it looks like the moon. Oh my God. They also had these really cool super sparkle lights. And if I could have found a place, I am now on a mission. My next house is going to have sparkle lights. These lights are amazing and they sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. And they're so awesome. I love them.
I need to know more about this. I want to see how it looks.
Okay, I'll take pictures when I go do the moonlight again. However, I will be posting. You guys have to comment below. I don't know who's watching now or later. If you want to see this moonlight, because Kevin worked it does moon phases.
Ooh, I want to see it.
That's cool.
It is awesome. So you have to comment below if you want to see this, because then I'll post the video.
Yes, please.
Otherwise, I'll just share it with Damaris and Gayle.
I definitely want to.
Gracie's definitely saying, yeah, show the sparkle light.
Show the sparkle light and show the moonlight. But I have to, so it was kind of fun. So that's what we were doing for only a very short part of our day today. And it was just, it was kind of interesting because between trying to get things for the house and then working on Kevin's new baby, which is a Defender, a 1996 Defender, which is a Land Rover Jeep.
Thank you for explaining that, because I was like, I know I've heard of it before, but what is it?
Yeah.
It's a collectible. And so we took ownership. We received it completely, paid for everything the other day. And so we've been cleaning that out. And getting ready to put the seats back in it, and then doing all these other things in between, rainstorms, because of course it can't stop raining.
Of course.
Of course not.
How can it rain practically continuously and you not have mosquito problems?
That's right.
Because we really do have good drainage. I'm not saying there aren't mosquitoes. There are mosquitoes, but not, okay, so full disclosure, 2 places I have lived. One, I lived in the Great Dismal Swamp. Anybody who's ever lived in the Great Dismal Swamp, I see Gail's question. He's like, where the hell's the Great Dismal Swamp? That's at the border of Virginia and North Carolina. Okay, so the instant, and anybody who's an Outlander fan, I'm not going to give you out.
I am.
Okay, so did you read the stories or did you only watch the series?
No, I watched the show.
Oh, okay. You have to read the book.
Oh.
But during the next, I think it's the next series, the Great Dismal Swamp comes into play.
Oh.
And that's where I lived. And a lot of what is talked about actually is located where we lived. So the Great Dismal Swamp is like mosquito haven. I'm like mosquito haven. And typically mosquitoes leave me alone. So I'm like, so for me, they're just kind of a nuisance because I know they're around, but they typically leave me alone. And then I also lived in Australia. So let me share something with you. It's not the mosquitoes in Australia, it's the flies.
Why?
So
what's going on?
Why?
Because they don't bite.
No, they just are everywhere. And they get in your face, and they get in up your nose and in your mouth and in your ears and are on your back.
Oh, no. They eat stuff and then they lay on your food. Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
For that reason.
So for me, the whole buggy thing. Yeah, no, but we don't. Yes, we have flies here in the Netherlands, and yes, there are mosquitoes. But honestly, as long as the temperatures are cool, it doesn't really amount to much. However, we have fruit flies. And you want to talk about something that annoys me? Fruit flies annoy me. Fruit flies really annoy me.
Yeah.
They really send me to a level of pissed off that just like a lot of things don't.
I can understand that 100%. There's certain ones that bug me too. But yeah, mosquitoes, we don't have to worry about them at all down in Arizona. Down in Arizona, you get the horse flies and the house flies.
Those suck.
And those are nasty. So up here has been a revelation like that. I completely forgot about the misery that is mosquitoes. And it's like they can tell time. 9:30 on the dot. As soon as the sun goes down, they're swarming. Mm-hmm. I just don't have that. I have less of a problem with mosquitoes than my daughter does, because when they get her, she scars. Like me too. Horrible reaction, like it welts on her.
Yeah,
me too.
They'll bite me, and I'll feel it, but then I don't get the bumps.
Yeah, we get the bumps too.
Yeah, I don't get.
We've got a bunch of people joining us now. Thank you all for showing up. We've got Ada and Diane and Paula and Tracy and Sue. Sue, I hope you're well. I know you're on the mend, so thank you so much for tuning in. Sending you lots of love and good juju. So glad you're here. Oh, and Joanne's here too. Oh, this is a good party.
I'll tell you. That's why the music is still playing.
There you go. Awesome.
Well, good. I'm glad. I don't want to say I'm glad you don't hear it because I don't want you to enjoy it. I'm just glad you don't hear it so no one pings us for it.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy you dancing back and forth. That's
Well,
for
you know,
sure.
that's it. I'm just like dancing to the music, moving around. So yeah.
You know what's this struck me this week because we took I've been up here in Michigan for a couple of weeks now. And I have felt myself not just transforming based on what's going on over in the heavens and stuff, but also like coming outside of this bubble that I've been in of other people's energy. You know, I'm like more distant from it. So Sunday, we went to the carnival and my grandson was on a ride and I'm standing there just kind of jokingly next to the "you must be this tall" sign. You know? And I'm just kind of bopping around like Krista does. And I'm listening to the music and I'm kind of singing along and I stopped. And that old adage came to me from the South American adage that if you are depressed, the medicine woman of the village will ask you 2 questions. When did you stop dancing? And when did you stop singing? And it was like, yay! I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Just like not naturally, spontaneously be bopping around like Krista always does. You know, and it's like, this is a good sign. I'm healing. I'm coming up out of. You know, life is like for right now, right this moment, this next 10 seconds, life is good and I'm enjoying it, you know, so it's been great.
And that is so important to do. And it's true. And I've been with you, Gayle. I don't want people to think that I spend my life bebopping around because not everybody is with me. But prior to our gathering, I probably spent about 18 months not bebopping around because the energy of where I was and what we were doing and what we were, I seriously, it was like, please, someone take the siphon out of me. You know, and so you don't have that energy to bebop around. You don't think about that, you know, spontaneously singing. It doesn't matter if it's your most favorite song.
Right. No.
Not at all. Yeah. And so, and it is, I can say for a fact that when I stopped singing and when I stopped dancing, my energy was sapped.
Yeah.
It was truly sapped.
There's so many benefits to dancing. It's crazy. You don't really realize so many benefits. You know, you lose weight while you're dancing. You have, you know, you think back memories from the past. You know, it's like you can't be depressed and be dancing at the same time.
No, you can't.
Right. And if you are depressed, it's hard to dance.
Yeah.
It really is. A few months ago, I was like trying to dance and I noticed that it's like my hips don't move fluidly the way that they did before. What's going on? You know, like I felt like old age settling into my body.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. It was just, I was depressed and things weren't in flow.
That's it.
But today, right now, I am lighthearted again, and this is freaking awesome. So.
Okay, so True, I am going to ask you each a question.
Okay.
So if you were going to have a dance party, what song would you play? What song can get you up and toe tapping and you just can't stop not dancing to? Each of you.
Damaris, why don't you go first?
Yikes. Yikes. I don't know. I can't really think of anything at the moment. Let me see. I love Tina Turner. So all her music gets me going.
Yeah.
So I like her. Any of her songs would be great at the beginning because I think now she became a Buddhist and her songs changed. But her rock and roll kind of music gets me going.
I love Tina. She's awesome. Yeah. All right. So what do you think, Miss Gayle?
So if it's a wedding, it'll probably be like We Are Family or I Will Survive or, you know, the top 10 that you always hear at the weddings, you know, YMCA. If I was like with my old school peeps, it definitely be anything Aerosmith or Journey.
Ooh,
Right?
yeah,
Definitely Aerosmith.
Right.
But
right.
it's a Manilow thing, and you guys won't know this song. It's a song called "Dancing in the Aisles," and the lyrics are, "I'd like to send the world an invitation and throw a party for the human race."
I love that.
I love that.
It's a great song. I should post the lyrics for it because it's just. I played it for my mom, and I'm like, "This is me. This is me. I just want the whole world to have fun and to be happy and help each other." And I'll post the lyrics later. But that's the one.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. So any of our viewers who are watching right now, I want you to post below what your dancing song would be. I have an idea, so it's really important. I need you guys to contribute. All right, y'all?
Already been
alive.
So Joanne's is Staying Alive. This song I absolutely adore. Sha-na-na. Anything by Sha-na-na. Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because for me, any oldies? I am. So for those who don't know, I've started doing my Peloton, right? So Peloton is a bike, and I got a lot of bad press and a lot of good press and whatever. Actually, from a fitness instructor point of view, what they have going on is shit hot. Awesome. I would go work for them anytime. And I hate, and I don't use that word lightly. Anybody who knows me will tell you it's not a word I use. I do not like cycle classes at all. I love what Peloton has done with cycle classes, right? And I love the music that's been coming on with the instructors. And each of the instructors, I'm going through a program right now, so I'm going through a lot of different instructors. Mm-hmm. And if you're a Peloton user, put down who you are and where, and we'll become friends. I'm KP Crisps.
Oh my God.
Okay, KP Crisps. We can give each other high five.
Emoji she just posted up. So I'm assuming that she's Peloton user.
Awesome.
We got Ada with Michael Jackson. Oh yeah, how can you not dance to anything Michael Jackson has done?
Totally, right?
Yes.
So I was doing a class yesterday with Cody. And I'm just going to throw him out. Cody Rigby, I think is his name. And he's really funny. And he's, I don't know. I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak like from a, I absolutely know. But from what he's given me, I have a sense that he is a queen. That's not the right word I'm thinking of, but he's a performer that dresses up as a
drag queen.
That's it, drag queen. Thank you.
Okay.
I think he's a drag queen, and he's there in New York. I think that, and Cody, if I'm wrong and you watch this, correct me. All right, dude. My daughter loves him in any case. So I ended up taking a class from him. And the music that he was playing got me really inspired because it was all this toe tapping, dancing music. Tina Turner was there. Aerosmith was there. You had Bon Jovi on there. All this music. And I'm thinking, and I'm like going, that is awesome. Because I'll tell you, when I was getting on there, I was like going, oh my God, I really don't want, he's going to get my ass out of the saddle. And I'm going to have to yell at him. And I'm going to call him names. I'm going to be so mad at him. I'm going to still do it because damn it. Right. So in any case, it's all good. Now I know how.
So Cody from Peloton, this is high praise. There's at least 3 gold medals in her compliment right there.
It is, because it's exactly the way my students would feel. I would always look at them. I'm like, I know you're sitting there cursing at me. It's all good. If you feel you need to yell, go ahead. Go ahead. You can yell at me, but your body's gonna love you for it later.
Right.
But it got me thinking, and I'm like, you know what, girls? Ladies, we need to do a dance party.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. That is a great idea.
So I need all the songs. I'm going to go back and I'll look at all the songs and I'm going to check who's all a Peloton person. I'm KP Crisps, and that's KRISPS. KP Crisps. And that's me. Look for me. I look cute and adorable in my little bike hat.
Too funny.
But yeah,
I gotta admit, I'm not a Peloton kind of person.
I don't.
But there's jazzercise here, and that's my jam.
There you go. There you go. Oh, we have a instructor who's a Zumba instructor getting ready to start teaching Zumba classes here. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited. I think I'm going to go give Zumba a go again because I do like to dance. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'll do my Peloton and I'll ride my bike to Zumba class.
There you go.
Good.
Bike, my e-bike.
Yeah, like yours is convertible. You get to... Wouldn't that be cool though if you could like take the Peloton bike off the rack and just go ride it?
Yeah, it kind of would be, but I'll tell you the reason why I think the whole Peloton thing, and I mean I'm not going to go into all the details of it, but the system, the bike, the program, everything is just it was really well thought out. And my hat goes off to Peloton. I mean, I've been in the fitness industry for years, and I'm almost jealous. I never thought of this. Wow. I really am. I'm like, this is brilliant. And so, yeah, it is. It's really good.
And you don't even have to leave your house.
Nope. Which is part of the reason why we got it, because, of course, we keep having lockdowns. And Kevin needs to still train for PFAs or physical fitness assessment. And so he's like, let's get this so I can do that. So, yeah.
What, is Peloton the one that has that mirror too? There's a mirror thing.
Yes, they have a mirror and they have a treadmill as well. And you can also just join their like an app that they have. And there is a plethora of classes and challenges, and it's well done. I mean, I've followed different things. Like we also have a TRX system. And I'll do things with TRX, except the thing with the whole TRX is that it's all about just the strap system. Whereas the Peloton system, it's on the bike because that's what we have, a bike. So it's specific for a bike. But it has house has yoga, has stretching, has a variety of different things. Meditation, they're doing a whole thing on meditation now. That's awesome. It really is. I'm very impressed with like I said, really impressed.
That's freaking awesome.
Wow.
Yes. I realize we have bigger fish to fry with the galaxy, don't we?
We have planetary fish to fry here. Give me 1 second and we will get her going here. Damaris, there you go.
Hello. And we're back. So, we have a lot going on planetarily, but I want to spotlight Saturn squaring Uranus. And there's a reason why I want to spotlight. So Saturn, as you guys know, is the Lord of karma, and it's the Lord of balance, balancing everything that's from the past. So everything that, has transpired in the past is almost in the forefront now, where we need to balance it. It's squaring Uranus, and they're like complete opposites. So Saturn wants discipline, it wants restrictions, it wants rules and regulations, and Uranus does not. Uranus wants freedom, it wants to just fly. It doesn't really want to be restricted. So now we have this kind of tug of war again, where Saturn says, we want to do things slow. We want to do things, with limitations, so to speak, but Uranus doesn't. Now, I want to go back a little bit. Saturn has 3 rules. Saturn has a rule of acceptance. It wants you to accept what is. It wants you to endure what is. And it wants you to persevere. So if we don't follow those rules with Saturn, we're going to have a hard time. Now, Uranus wants things done quickly. It doesn't want to go slow. It wants to go fast. It wants to change. Saturn is, again, the karmic planet, and Uranus is the awakener. When I think about those two, I think about the lockdowns, right? I think of Saturn as having the lockdowns, and I think of Uranus as having the freedom and the awakening. So what's really happening now, a lot of people are awakening from all of these lockdowns, from all of these things that are happening in the world, and it will not, want to continue to be like limited and restricted. Again, it's the awakener. It wants to be free to explore. It wants to be free to become whoever it's supposed to be, whoever it's supposed to become. Also, when you think about relationships, it has a role in relationships on a personal level, because Saturn, again, is restricting, and Uranus wants to be free. So what about these relationships that there's a partner that one wants to be free and one wants to be tied down, right? These relationships are not going to withstand this squaring. Unless, of course, both people are on the same page and they want to be settled down. They want to be like, locked down, so to speak, together. So these relationships that don't want that are going to have a problem. One wants to be free and leave the marriage, and the other one will be left, like what happened, you know what I mean? So that's all happening right now. Personally, it's happening globally, where people don't want to be locked down into shutdowns. They want to be free. I was watching a video where all these countries, they're all walking out and, protesting to these lockdowns, right? I don't know if you guys have seen it on Facebook or anything. So that's happening because of the awakener, because of Uranus, because of, all of these limitations and restrictions. People are tired of it. And we spoke about that earlier, but I really want to, spotlight that energy that's happening. Saturn wants structure. It wants to build slowly. It wants to have, a good foundation. Uranus doesn't want that. It wants to just, be free. So there's a lot.
How long are we going to have to deal with this tug of war between the two of them? I mean, those are really distant outer planets. Is this going to be around for months?
Well, Uranus stays in one sign for a long time, sometimes 8 years. Saturn, you really like 2.5 years. Saturn is not, it's doesn't stay that long like Uranus or Pluto. Pluto can stay in a sign for 20 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's a generational sign.
Generational, exactly. Saturn just comes around and stays for 2.5, 3 years, and it really wants you to sort of look at your life and what you've been doing in the past, and sort of like, be disciplined so that you don't repeat these lessons, because Saturn is also the planet of repeating cycles and repeating. If you don't fix it in this life, it will be in the next. So it's also in charge of that, life, death, rebirth type of thing. If you don't fix it in this life, okay, you're going to come back around and you're going to repeat whatever you didn't fix, whatever you didn't balance, and you're going to go through it again. I mean, who wants to be going through that over and over and over, right? Yeah. So that's also happening. Whoever didn't learn their lessons, I'm going to say 7 years ago, because the 7 is a key number, they're going to be repeating almost the same thing, perhaps not, literally, but psychologically. They're going to be repeating the same kind of energy that they have to now balance. So if you're seeing the same energy as you did 7 years ago, it's not the other people, it's your lesson. A lot of people like to blame everybody else and they don't take responsibility and ownership. But Saturn says you got to take ownership. You got to take responsibilities. You can't cut corners anymore. You can't push things under the rug. You have to face it. You have to, endure. You have to accept what's happening. You have to endure it. And then you have to then persevere, so then now you can move forward. So that's what Saturn wants us to do. And, Saturn can be tough. It could be really tough, but it wants you, after its transit, it wants you to be in a better place. It wants you to learn from your lessons so that you can be catapulted forward. So when you kind of like surrender is the word that I want to use to Saturn, and say, okay, let me learn the lessons that I haven't learned before. Let me surrender and really pay attention to what it is that Saturn is teaching me so that I can move forward. Then, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. But when you resist, it will persist, and it gets harder and harder and harder. The lessons that Saturn is going to bring you. So we have to surrender. We really do have to surrender on a personal level and on the global level, right? Mm-hmm. The number 3, which is today, is about communication. It's how are we communicating? How are we getting along? How are we, transmitting sort of the message that we want to convey to others? Are we being harsh because we're, maybe being under Saturn's rules and restrictions, and we're pissed off about it, and then we project it onto other people? Or are we just, understanding that everybody else is going through kind of the same thing?
I want to interject there because I had a couple of really good experiences of exactly this today. Okay. In that I'm texting with somebody, and it got to a point where it's like, hit the phone button, because the communication, it's not like Mercury retrograde, right? It's not like the communication's wonky or it's not getting through, but it is a matter of being clear about whatever it is that you're saying. Because so if you get to that point where you recognize that this communication is not being complete, like complete communication is not just saying something, it's the receiver receiving what you intended to say.
Yes.
Not voice in their head read it as.
Yeah.
Your own tone of voice, depending on how your day is going.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. It's so much easier to handle it, because this kind of stuff can get way out of control really fast.
Absolutely. And people these days, I find that they are very, very sensitive. They get upset very easily. And relationships could get ruined. Remember, Saturn is also a planet that wants commitment, right? Mm-hmm. It's about commitment. Uranus doesn't want commitment. It wants freedom. It doesn't want to commit. So even in friendships, it's not necessarily just in marriages, let's say, or partnerships. Even in friendships, if the person is not really committed to the friendship, then there's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So this is happening on all levels, And the more aware we are, the more that we can then, accept what's going on with the friendship, with the marriage, with whatever, and endure what's happening, because we're all on different levels of consciousness and understanding and awareness. Mm-hmm. And so it's about being compassionate, being understanding, and, making space for that person to grow if they're meaningful to you. Some relationships are not, so we let them go. Right. But if the relationship is meaningful, we want to have that space so that person can grow, and that person can become aware perhaps of something that they weren't aware before, so that they don't keep learning this lesson, because they're going to keep learning it in this life or the next if they don't get it. Right.
That's right.
So, So it's about, the planets are really telling us what's really happening within our home, say, and outside in the world. And the more that we understand that, the more then we can, follow Saturn's rules, which are to accept, to endure, and then to persevere. And then be free. Then the Uranus energy will take us where we need to be. Mm-hmm. They work together. They work in conjunction. It's when we're not working together with these planets, when we're, at war with them, so to speak, that then you're going to go through a hard time.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah, definitely.
This is my life these days in a nutshell. That little battle between, okay, there's a right way to do things, but I'm not normal. I'm not normal.
It doesn't mean you have to be normal. It means doing what's right. Just because, it's like sometimes you do the right thing. Why? Because it's just the right thing to do.
Well, yeah, but okay.
I understand.
I'm still a special level snowflake, damn it.
I know.
I know, because if we're under karmic law, which is Saturn, if you don't do what's right, then you have to balance that, because it comes back around. Right. Yeah. So we're not doing what's right for the other person. We're doing it for ourselves, so to speak, so that we don't have to keep repeating these lessons, or we don't have to have, dysfunctional relationships. So we're doing it for ourselves, really. And as we do it for ourselves, than we're actually doing for the other. So that's the way it works. You know, we want to build foundations that are solid, which is Saturn. We want to build solid foundations in our relationships, in a marriage, in a partnership, a business partnership, you know. So we want to do what's right. We want to make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's. We want to make sure we read the fine print so that we don't have a shaky foundation that we're going to have to pay for 7 years down the road. And sometimes you pay for it with sweat and tears and money and a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So it's really, you know, doing the work now that has to be done so that we have a smooth ride later and that we can fly on the wings of Uranus wherever it wants to take us.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear what you're thinking, Gayle.
I'm sure you do.
I think we all hear what Gayle's thinking.
Oh my
Alrighty.
And on that note,
We got through that whole thing until that last the wings of Uranus. Yes. All right. So thank you for that awesome report that I just did not want to hear at all.
Yeah, you know, we have to
here's something sort
we
of
have to
painful.
follow the rules and regulations of that planet, you know, so that we don't have to suffer so much or pay for it later in tenfold.
Well, and I'm always wondering, okay, fine. So this was around what, 2-3 years ago, and 3 years before that, and 3 years before that. What's, you know, what makes this time so different that we really, you know, like we have an access out if we surrender and follow the rules, right?
Yeah.
That was that not true 3 years ago or 7 years ago, you know, or is there something about this particular pairing between Saturn and Uranus that gives us the access to finally be done with whatever it is that's going on right now? Those messages.
Well, it's also the, you know, it's when we don't learn the lessons, it gets harder and harder and harder, right? So, and that's on a personal level, and that's also on a global level. Whatever we don't fix or balance, let's use the word balance because some people may not like the word fix. Whatever we don't balance, it's almost like the universe nudges us, and then it's going to be like a bang. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like all of us individually and collectively, we haven't really learned the lessons. And this is why we're at the conjunction that we are right now. So now it's like, I always look at it as, you know, not literal in a literal sense, but I look at it like we're going through a near-death experience. You know, it's in a metaphysical sense, right? We're going through a near-death experience. Go ahead.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
So it's like what we're not going to learn now, we're going to come back and learn it. And then you have that planetary alignment with Pluto, which I don't want to highlight it today because it takes time and we want to give everybody else a chance.
Yeah.
But the Pluto energy is bringing to the surface all that's toxic, all that's not working, all that's not serving, all that's obsolete. It's bringing it to the surface so that we can rebuild something new, something better, right?
So that's the answer to my question. Okay. Because like we mentioned earlier, Pluto is a 20-year transit and it's a generational thing. And now it's in place to play with Saturn, or coming into place where it's like, this is level 9.
And what's happening with Pluto is, again, it's and we talked about it last week. It's okay, who are you serving? What master are you serving? Right? And if we're serving the wrong master, we're going to pay the consequences for that, which Saturn comes in and gives you the consequences for that. You see, they all work together. These planets all work together. And it's like, okay, Pluto says to Saturn, here, this person didn't really learn her lesson. Give her, you know, her consequences, right? So if you look at the word consequence, it's a sequence. So it's a sequence of events. The word consequences has the word sequence. So it's a sequence of events that are going to keep happening until you get it, until you learn it, until you get it under your belt, so to speak, and then move on to another bigger lesson that's less painful or less you suffer less. They say that when you have had enough pain and suffering, you will do the work. Yeah. You'll do the work that you need to do.
Not as a personal thing or anything like that, but the consequence of this lovely conversation is that we are down to 20 minutes left on the show. So I'm going to move forward into Krista's segment.
Sure.
And I'm
keep going.
The crystal of the week, Chrysocolla. It is awesome. And actually, so I love the fact that we're talking about consequences. I love the fact that we're talking about lessons. And I love the fact that we're talking about things on a personal as well as a global conscious level. And about the reference that you gave, Damaris, about the lockdowns and coming out of lockdown and other people being in lockdown and, some people not being in lockdown, and how it's all works and how it's balancing out. Because Chrysocolla, and the other day, it hit me without even really sitting with it. Just the fact that I saw that this was the crystal of the week is it's about tolerance.
Love it.
Chrysocolla is about tolerance, emotional healing, self-expression, and connection to Mother Nature.
Wow.
So, again, like I say, every week.
You can't make it up.
Perfect.
You can't make it up.
I can't make it up. So in any case, when we're talking about tolerance, it's everything that's happening, whether it's in our life. I mean, Gayle, you were talking about things about, oh my God, I just have to pick the phone up. Seriously, I'm having that. I've had that left, right, and center today here as well. And reminding myself, it is about tolerance. Reminding myself, it's not just about tolerance of what I have control of in terms of how I communicate, but being tolerant of what other people are interpreting in the communication. And okay, so, and to add into my joy of communication here, we also have language barriers. Now, I have to say, here in the Netherlands, the Dutch people speak English beautifully, but it doesn't mean that they understand all our idioms that we as Americans love to use. So, when it comes to the tolerance, we have to really look at bringing this in. If you're somebody who's in this state right now, that where Saturn, Uranus, Pluto is like pushing, pulling, you feel like you're on the taffy machine at the beach, right? It's awesome. You love it. Taffy's great. It's really cool to watch it get pulled and pulled. But if you're feeling like that, I tell you, go find yourself either a piece of Chrysocolla and go sit with a tree, or go sit with the ocean, or go sit somewhere in nature and just sit. Get yourself a Chrysocolla bracelet, a mala necklace, a mala period, however you want to wear it, a necklace. Chrysocolla, if all it does while you wearing it is to remind you tolerance, and not tolerance of others, but tolerance of yourself. Remember, you have to tolerate yourself. What that, the monkey brain is telling you, the mean girl, the bully, the schoolyard bully that's up there, the monkey, trying to get you to do 27,000 things all at once and not able, the chipmunks, whatever. We all have them. They're all playing in our brain. And figuratively speaking. Yeah. We'll just go with that. And if it's okay. We're all, that's the kind of energy. But this holding it, because it's like, the reason why it's connected so much with Mother Nature is it gives you that gentle nudge. So I've been working with this. I went in, mine was in one of my crystal boxes, and I went and I pulled it out, and immediately I put it in my fancy crystal pocket. are you all familiar with your fancy crystal pockets?
In your
You
jeans,
have
Watch pockets.
in your
the little
jeans,
tiny
right?
pocket.
That little tiny pocket. Okay, so mine's a little big for that one. So one in my bigger pocket near my little crystal pocket, because now it's round. I should show you. I posted a picture, but I don't know if I got it on Woo Woo or if it was just on
Very
Dimensional
nice.
Healing.
So pretty.
Yeah, this one is, and you can tell I've used it several times because the polish of it's not quite as shiny as it used to be. But yeah, just carry it with you, because I grabbed it and it really helped. It helped me with the situation that the three of us were discussing, right? Because I brought that energy forth because my monkey brain had me going high, left, and center, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in different directions. And I was like, okay, wait, this just is not right. So we do. I'm like, oh. But the other aspect is when I was out yesterday, out with the trees and the grass and everything, and the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Rain brings rainbows, though. Remember that rain does bring rainbows. Got to find the positive in that.
And cleansing, right?
And cleansing, lots and lots of cleansing. I'll tell you, and so does fire. So I know that there's a part of the United States right now that's on fire, and my heart is going out to you. But the thing that I think about as I'm seeing these torrential downpours, as I'm seeing these fires, and again, it's about tolerance, emotional healing, is that water brings healing, fire brings healing. They bring it in two totally different ways, but they do bring that cleanse and they bring healing.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
the
really
planet is going through that Pluto energy, which is exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to add on, to caveat with that, or add on a little bit with this whole cleansing and the lessons learned.
Yeah.
Part of it is just acknowledging the fact that, oh, wait, I really need to learn this lesson, don't I? Maybe I should actually sit and focus on what this lesson is, rather than living it again and say, oh, yeah, thank you, universe.
It's true.
I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to actually sit here and be patient and tolerate myself through this lesson, because I have Chrysocolla in my pocket.
It's awesome, because that's exactly Saturn energy there. You're discussing the Saturn energy. Yeah.
So folks, Chrysocolla, it's here to help you with tolerance, emotional healing, and help you bring that tolerance, bring that healing, that emotional healing, express yourself freely, but kindly.
That's number 3.
That kindly. It doesn't mean you go around and throw up all over everybody. It means that you think it through, what you're going to say. And then, in that connection with nature. And that's really in a nutshell. There's so much more.
Yes.
But Gayle, we need
more than an hour, ladies.
I'll tell you, we just are growing way too much with how much we want to share.
Right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, today the topic is all about the perfection is in the imperfection. And as always, that does feedback into the communication. As we mentioned earlier, when we communicate out, the proper communication is received on the other end, following the rules of universal law, and very powerful stuff of accepting what is and learning from what's there so that we can persevere and come out the other side without having to relearn third grade again. Right? Right. So I actually, I've been studying and playing with this whole concept of perfection is in the imperfection for years. I mean, like early recovery stuff, because one of the things that I'm recovering from is being a perfectionist. And if it's just so, it's not right. I'm a horrible human being, a failure at living. And obviously don't want anything to do with me. So there's a lot of like looking at, okay, so how does that hold you back? And what's a more empowered way to look at it? Well, and that's where I came to understand that as human beings on this planet Earth, overwatched by Mother Nature, whose cycles are literally perfection, right? The solstices come at the same predictable time. The equinoxes come at the same predictable time. The sun rises and sets at a predictable time. And if their motion wasn't perfect, right, that it wouldn't be possible to predict. Now, that does not say anything about the fact that it can be messy, right? Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, forest fires, that's some pretty messy stuff. And yet, like Krista was saying, fire and water both cleanse and heal in their own way, right? So there's perfection in that. And as much as we humans might really and truly open our hearts out to people who are suffering through the wildfires and who are suffering through, we're experiencing flooding in this area because of the rains, the perfection is still there, given time to unfold itself. Because those forests that have burned will be all new growth next year. You know? And all of those places that have been flooded will find not just the cleansing, but sometimes the waterways themselves shift. Right? And it's not up to us to say, oh, we need to put that river back where it was. Right?
Nope.
Mother Nature knows what she's doing. You know, and even to the extent of this plague that we're dealing with, this pandemic that we're dealing with, Mother Nature knows the occupancy limits for this blue ball. You know, and Mother Nature will balance things out to the extent that she can support and tolerate our presence. Right? The more we try to save people's lives, the more she's going to figure out other ways to kill them off, because we need this balance of nature.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. As we all are laughing and agreeing about this, people are going to say, they are like sadistic. No,
right? Yeah. I'm so lighthearted and heartless. But and that's the difficult part. If you guys recall, I mentioned before we got on the air, I'm just kind of laughing about the fact that I have the types of problems that when I complain about them, people think I'm bragging. Because they're not problems, right? Compared to other people's problems, they're not problems. But it's the same kind of thing. When you look at it from a more objective point of view of, oh, this thing that happened isn't good or isn't bad, it's what happened. You can start to actually peel back the layers and look of how perfect it is happening, right? And what there is inside of it to appreciate and cause to grow further and, all of that. I want to tell you about a little story about all of that. And what it's actually like flown out of my head. I'm hearing we don't have time.
We need more time on our show.
No, it can be a long story. But I really would just want to resolve it all down into that there are rules for a reason, because that will get us to the goal in a cleaner, more, efficient way. And like Damaris was saying, surrendering to the rules, right, gives us the foundation, the power, and the strength to be able to play later, to be able to have the new adventure later instead of having to
relive, rehash.
Yeah.
rehash, relearn it, revisit, review.
Yeah.
And bringing that energy of the Chrysocolla in will make that process easier, whether it's using it for tolerance of the rules, which is probably where I'd be coming from, because I don't want no part of your rules. I'm different. I'm special. I'm unique. Fuck you. I don't apply. Those rules don't apply to me. So, the Chrysocolla will help me go, all right, let's listen. Let's, do the next right thing, invest in, a totally new possibility that's available by doing that and tolerating that slowness of it. Because, like I'm Team Uranus. I'm like, let's do this.
Want it done.
Get it over with. I am tired of hurry up and wait. Come on.
But something will be missed if it goes so quickly. So that's why Saturn is slow.
Yeah, and I've actually noticed that over the last few weeks, especially where it's there is literally divine timing at work, and it cannot be rushed. It just can't. You're going to break the whole damn thing if you rush it.
Yes.
I
want to add something before we go.
Yes.
So, as you're speaking, and I love everything you're saying because you're just bringing it all together, right?
Yeah, definitely.
She is. She's got, your award wizard. Oh, I got tongue tied.
Word wizard.
Wizard.
She's awesome.
Yes. But I was as you were speaking, I was thinking, what if everybody that's going through all of these terrible situations, like the fire, the floods, what if unconsciously they volunteered for this to happen for the good of all? What if they're going through all of this for everybody else? And so they volunteered as a crucifix, like crucifying themselves, right? In a sense, for the betterment of humanity. What if?
What if?
Perfect.
Yeah. And that is absolutely a very empowering way to look at it. And there's also a different way here. What if you made a choice without regard for the rules of nature that if you live in a pine forest, it may eventually catch fire, and you want to blame somebody else for that choice instead of just going, okay, this is a choice that I made. Here's the consequences of that choice. And I learned something, and that's perfect.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. The Saturn glyph is a cross, right? So that is the cross that we all have to bear for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never seen that as a cross.
I've never seen the glyph.
It is a cross, though, when you really look at the glyph of it, right? It's like a cross, and then it has the little
like a tail,
square root thing. Yeah.
What was that?
Like a tail.
Yes. So it's a cross, though. So, what if that's the crucifixion that some of us volunteer for unconsciously for the betterment of the world? And we may not understand it at the time, but hopefully eventually when, the awakener of Uranus shows us, this is why you did this. This is why you had to go through this. This is why, not just for you, for everybody else.
Yeah.
And so it's an act of love and kindness for one another. We may not be conscious of it, but I believe that that's the reality of it.
Well, I encourage everybody to use their own personal love and their own personal kindness. Hey, I'd settle just for kindness. Because ultimately, it's like, we're here to have this human experience, and we're here to support one another. We're here to have a enjoyable, uplifting experience. And the more we start helping each other, and lifting each other up, I think the more successful in the end we're all going to feel, and we're all going to be.
Yeah. But we're also here to grow, right? And evolve. And this is the classroom, right? The earth is the classroom. So we all have to go through a little bumps in the road
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, really quickly, in the next 40 seconds, I want to say congratulations to Tracy Paquin.
Yay!
Please reach out to any one of us and collect your service. Each of us are offering up specific services that we do. So pick a crone and let us know. All right. And thank you so much for your support of this show. We also want to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsors and contributors. Krista Ducharme with Dimensional Healing with Krista on Facebook. Damaris Samolinski with Ask the Genie with Damaris Samolinski. And myself, Gayle Nicholson with Creative Command Coaching and Consulting. Once again, thank you all for watching and tuning in each week and sharing this broadcast with others and liking it and commenting it and sending us flowers and chocolates and wait, I'm
and I think we've gotten a little bit overboard, but not to say we were not accepting of any gifts.
Thank you guys, everybody. Have a fantastic week. And we will see you all soon, I hope. Bye.